Hello, everybody. In a second, I'm going to be bringing in our guests from University Admissions, and they have all the information you need about the application process. Before we jump in, it's good for you to know that during this live stream, we're not going to be talking about PhD studies, and we're also not going to be talking about scholarships. However, we have lots of links in the caption of this video, and I'd recommend that you check those out, where you can find more information about both PhD studies as well as scholarships. During our hour together, I'm going to be keeping an eye on the chat and collecting your questions to ask our team of experts. If we don't manage to your specific question, it's absolutely no stress. We're going to give you information about how you can contact University Admissions in the future. So without further ado, please welcome our experts. Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Yes. Amazing. If you guys want to go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Yes, absolutely. My name is Pamela Hanna, and I work as an admissions officer at the Swedish Council for Higher Education in Sweden. I've worked with university admissions and assessment of foreign qualifications from all over the world since 2014, and I hope that I will be able to contribute with my experiences in the best possible way and answer as many questions as possible. Handing it over to my colleague Erik, which I don't know if it's.
Eric has left us for the time being.
Okay.
Okay. I'll
handing it over to Christer then.
I'll go on. I'm Christer Kjellin. I'm also from the Swedish Council for Higher Education, and I'm a communications officer and general web guy. And I will try to keep up with what Pamela and Eric are saying and try to keep us at the right page at the website at University Admissions while they're speaking. I think I will just go ahead and give you
before you start, Christer, can the audience let us know in the chat where they're watching this live stream from? That would be interesting to know.
Yeah.
Go ahead and write in the chat. Where are you watching from?
And now go ahead, Christer. Sorry.
Yes, as I said, I'll lead us off with a quick walkthrough of the website, universityadmissions.se, which is the place to apply to almost all university programs and courses in Sweden, both at the bachelor's and the master's level. So let's see if I can share my screen in. So there you go. Oh, and there's Eric. Hi, Eric.
Hi.
Yeah.
Technical difficulties.
I think you should be seeing my screen right now. So let's see. The best thing, if you're new at this, is probably to look at follow the link here, wondering where to start with the admissions process, because it leads to a step-by-step guide on how to apply and the basics of what you should think of at every step of the process. So if you're here for the first time, this is a good place to start. Another very important part of the website is the dates and deadlines link at the top here, which, as you might imagine, leads to all the deadlines when the application must be submitted, when you need to have submitted your application fees, when you need to have what the deadline is for the supporting documentations, etc. And there's also, once you've read the step-by-step guide, there's more detailed information about the master's and bachelor's levels, application to the master's and bachelor's levels specifically at these two links. And even more detailed information, of course, is under the main menu. But I won't be talking much about that because it's pretty detailed. The most important thing here is the link to the support center, which where you find our FAQ questions and also the contact information where you can reach us through our chat, through email, or through telephone. But I will be spending more time at what we think of as the meat and bones of the site, the course and programs search engine. You can make a search from the start page by just entering a keyword and search, but I'll be looking at, I'll go through to the results page immediately. Let's just try to search for something here in order to get a result to work with. Economics. As you can see, there are quite a few search results on if you use general keywords like that, but there are several filters and tools you can use to limit the search results. The first is the course and programs filter, which is pretty self-explanatory. It limits your search results for full bachelor's or master's programs, which actually gives you a degree, or shorter courses in various subjects. Sorry? You can also limit the search to one or several specific Swedish universities or detailed subjects. So let's go with archaeology and see what we find. Still quite a lot. This is just programs in archaeology. Let's limit it to master's level programs. And we're starting to get search results we can actually work with. Once you have search results that actually shows you something you're interested in, you can look at the more detailed information, such as the tuition fees, the actual application periods, and subject areas. And there's also, more importantly, a link to this specific program at Uppsala University, in this case. And yes, there's also a drop down here for rankings if you want the list ranked according to which university it is, name of the course or program, shortest to longest course or program. So let's just try to select a few of these courses. I know I'm interested in archaeology. I'm interested in master's level studies, so I'll just try to apply for a few of these. Uppsala sounds good. Lund University, why not? And Umeå University. So as you can see, I have 3 programs in my selection at the moment. So let's try to turn that into an actual application. Here you can see the 3 programs that I have selected for my application. And let's try to send this. Oh no, I'm lacking an account at university admissions. I need to create an account before I can do anything else. I'll cheat a bit and use an earlier account that I have available, and just to let you see what it looks like. When you're creating an account, you can find instructions at this link, how to log into universityadmissions.se, which gives you details on all our different ways of creating an account. Most of you will have to make an account using an email, but if some of you are from the EU or EEA, you can use your national ID through the EIDAS link here. But let's just see what happens with my application.
Application.
I'm not exactly sure what happened now. Let's see. So I have started to actually submit my application, and we will get back to this screen in a moment. But for now, I think I will be leaving the floor to Eric, who I think will be talking a bit about our instructions for specific countries. Right, Eric?
Yeah, I think so. I hope that my sound is just let me know if there seems to be an issue. But if you could jump to there are sites or places on the website for country instructions, and Christer is right now heading to them. Yeah, so the heading is quite self-explanatory.
Eric,
There's a link here.
hear me?
Sorry.
I was just going to
Sorry?
say that if you maybe want to introduce yourself
Can't
to
you hear
begin
me?
with.
Sorry, I missed the introduction. Sorry. I had technical issues when the streaming started, so I'm not really. I kind of jumped into it. Sorry. My name is Eric Berg, and I work as an admissions officer at the Swedish Council for Higher Education, which also in practice is university admissions in Sweden. So we are like the central admissions office that works for all Swedish universities almost and colleges. Yes, and I work mostly with foreign merits as an admissions officer. So that is why I'm familiar with that there are specific country instructions. And there is a list, as I said here on this page. There are 2 different country instructions pages. One page for bachelor applicants and one for master applicants. And
Let's see how
depending on whether
you get to the different pages.
Sorry.
Let's just take a moment to see how you get to the 2 versions of the country pages. The easiest way is to start from the front page at the apply to masters or apply to bachelors pages. So if you, I think you want to start with the masters pages, right, Eric?
We can start with the bachelor.
Right. I'll start by going to apply to bachelors. This is about application documents mostly. So I'll follow the link to provide application documents and then country instructions. So here we are at the list of country instructions for bachelor documents. Sorry, Eric, back to you.
No, yeah, of course. But this is very important to keep in mind that there are country-specific instructions. And as you can see, the list goes on and on. But as I said, depending on whether you are applying for a bachelor's or master's level studies, the instructions will differ. So it's important to make sure that you are on the country instruction page for whatever level you are applying to. But that was the bachelor page. But we can go to the master page and we can go in a bit more in detail on the master page because they look very similar. So that is why I'm pointing out that you need to make sure that you are on the bachelor or master page. But we can take as an example, if we scroll down to the United States of America at U, as you can see, this is just an example of what a country-specific page looked like. There are headings as hyperlinks. Some information is more general and will appear on a lot of country pages, but some are very specific. And in general, you should of course read the entire page, but in general, the instructions that apply for the specific country is often mentioned under the special document instructions. At least that is for how we need the document to be sent to us. And as an example, there is a very specific instructions for applicants from the United States. And that is that you cannot submit your documents yourself. You need to ask your institution, your university or your school, your college, to send them to us in accordance with the routine that is stated here. So it is important that you take part of or read these instructions very carefully. And there are also information about whether you need to translate the documents or not. And English is the preferred language for translations. So the United States applicants do not need to translate their documents. But if you need to do so, it is stated under that heading. So just make sure that you check out your specific country instruction. Yeah, and is there anything else we need to say about these? I can see that there's a lot of questions popping up here. I don't know if we should.
Let's take a couple.
Yeah.
We have one here from a person who writes, if I have a master's degree from my native country, can I apply for another master's in the same subject in Sweden? For example, I have a master's in economics. Can I apply for an MSc in health economics?
Well, remember
the
that.
general entry sorry. Pamela.
Go ahead, Eric. Go ahead.
No, okay. Well, the general entry requirement for master level studies in Sweden is a bachelor's degree and the equivalent of the Swedish upper secondary course English 6. So a master's degree is not really required to study a master's degree. However, it can maybe fulfill specific entry requirements, but it is the bachelor is the important thing.
Amazing. We have another question here speaking about English language. Someone asks, can I prove my English language proficiency using Duolingo test scores?
No, unfortunately not. We will get into the English requirement and the approved English test results that we have, but Duolingo is not one of them, unfortunately.
Absolutely. And we'll take one last question, I think, right now. Someone asks, when will the application end? What is the final deadline?
Which admission round would we be referring to? Are we talking about autumn or current?
I think let's use autumn. So for studies starting September 2020, August or September 2025.
Let's see here for first admission round. Is it the 15th of January? That would be, yes, for the first admission round, autumn first admission round would be 15th of January. That's when the application deadline is.
Fantastic.
Yes, Krista is also showing our website. Shall we continue? Eric, were you done with your part, or did you have anything else to add?
For now, I think I was. And my sound keeps dropping out a bit. I hope I didn't miss anything during the last minute, but no, you can take it.
It's a little bit delayed, but no worries. Let's continue then. I will be talking about the entry requirements, and this applies to both bachelor's level and master's level. So let's start with bachelor's level. To be eligible for programs, Students must meet the general and specific entry requirements. And the general entry requirements are handled by us at the Swedish Council for Higher Education, while the specific entry requirements are handled by each university. So the general entry requirements are the same for all programs when you apply for bachelor's level. It is to have a successfully completed high school diploma, so a completed upper secondary education. You need to demonstrate proficiency in English, equivalent of the Swedish level English 6. You need to have completed math course equal to the Swedish mathematics 1A, 1B, or 1C. And also for studies in Swedish, you need to have Swedish 3 or have completed a test in Swedish for university studies called TESUS. And most programs have specific entry requirements in addition to the general requirements, and they're often linked to the area of study. For example, an economics program may require a higher level mathematics course, but the specific requirements are listed on the university's program pages. And for master's level, Eric mentioned it already that you need to have a bachelor's degree equivalent to a Swedish one called kandidatexamen and proficiency in English 6. So further information is written on each country's website at universityadmissions.se on what we require in order to assess it. You assess your bachelor's degree as equivalent to a Swedish one. And going
Pamela,
further,
we have a question here that I think might be relevant for a few people.
Yes.
So someone writes here, in Belgium, we have our high school degree at the end of June. So it is not possible to apply before then. Do we have to wait until next year?
Yes, we're going to get into that a little bit later as well, but that is correct, unfortunately. We're going to go further into the ones that haven't yet completed upper secondary and wishes to apply for first admission round, and they will unfortunately have to wait for upcoming. And we will talk more about it a little bit further.
Perfect.
Yes. The English requirements. So part of the entry requirements for both bachelor's and master's studies in Sweden is to have studied the equivalent of the Swedish upper secondary course English 6. There could be some exemptions from the requirement, or that the university require level 5 or level 7, but always check the course description page at the university's website to find out exactly what the requirement is. But if nothing is mentioned, then it's English 6 that is required. And there are different ways to meet the requirement. For example, with the required score on an internationally recognized English test, we accept IELTS, TOEFL, Cambridge, and so on. You can also fulfill the requirement based on your upper secondary qualifications or university studies in some countries. It's always mentioned on the country's website or the country information that we have, whether you can fulfill it based on both upper secondary and academic qualifications or just on upper secondary qualifications, for example. But if you wish to demonstrate your English proficiency with an internationally recognized test, make sure to have read the information on our website. Test results will be verified online before we can assess and register your proficiency. And some of the exams do have an expiration date, such as TOEFL test. It can only be verified up to 2 years after the test date. And IELTS test results are valid for 2 years. So make sure that you have read the information and when you've actually completed your test and what results you have. There is also more information on what the amount of scores you need to have achieved in order for us to assess it as equivalent to level 6 or 7. And when it comes to application documents, just to summarize it, what Eric already mentioned is that for bachelor's level, you need to submit your upper secondary qualifications, high school qualifications. For master's level, you need to submit your academic qualifications, so your bachelor's degree. Master's degree is not required, but as Eric mentioned, if the university wish to take it into account based on the amount of credits achieved, it could be possible. So don't hesitate to submit your master's degree as well once you apply for master program. And also make sure to find out whether you need to have your documents sent in directly from your high school or from your university. Eric mentioned that USA is one of those countries. Nigeria, for example, is another country where you need to have your university send your transcript directly to our email address called verifications@uhr.se. So there are different requirements depending on if you apply for bachelor's level or master's level, and also which country. Some qualifications need to be verified, so you would need to submit scratch card details, for example. So make sure to read the information. And also, when you submit your documents, bear in mind that you can scan your documents, you can take a photo, have them converted to PDF and upload it to your account, but you can also send it by regular post, of course. But the smoothest way would be to submit it yourself directly. And once you've submitted your documents and we have reviewed them, assessed your qualifications, and registered your qualifications, there is no need for you to submit your documents again if you wish to apply for further admission rounds. However, if you've uploaded your documents and they're not sufficient, and we requested for you to complete with further ones, but you haven't, and you wish to submit for another application in upcoming admission round, then you would need to either submit them yourself once again, or you need to contact us, because once you've submitted your documents, they are connected to that admission round. They are not being transferred to other upcoming admission rounds. So that's something to bear in mind. But you can always reach out to us if you have any questions or concerns regarding the documentation or the submitting of your documentation. I'm thinking of going over to tuition and application fees if Eric and Krista don't have anything to add regarding the requirements. I know it's a lot of information.
There are two questions
Yeah.
that maybe are interesting to talk about here. So someone writes, I have finished American high school in Kosovo. So should I check requirements from Kosovo, which is the country where the high school is located, or should I be checking the US requirements, the United States?
The US requirements.
Yeah, I would say that. I can say that for international American high schools, our general thumb rule is that they should have regional accreditation in the United States to be accepted as an American high school to us. But yeah, I would say also as an American, yeah.
But just to add that it's if you choose to write or choose Kosovo as your country of study, it's not the end of the world if it then turns out to be USA. We can always have it transferred to our colleagues that works with the Cube with American qualifications. So it's not the end of the world. But if you've studied according to the American education system, it will be US.
Fantastic. And there's a few people have been wondering about both if there's an age limit for applying to studies on any level, and also if someone has been working or out of school for a long time, are they able to still apply?
The age limit question was actually one of my questions that I was going to answer a little bit later, but I can take it now already. No, there is no age limit. But of course, if you completed upper secondary high school by the age of 14, 15, then we might request to see some official document from your school confirming this, or some further explanation to why you were so young when you graduated, for example. But otherwise, there is no age limit. No. Did you have another question, Max? I don't remember.
I think we can leave it there for now.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Let's go further to tuition and application fees, because this is also another important thing to have in mind. Application fee is handled by us at UHR. I can hear myself. I don't know who it is. Maybe you need to mute yourself, some of my colleagues.
Maybe now.
Yeah, now? Yeah, okay, now. So the application fee is handled by us at UHR, and it's an administrative fee that we charge to start processing the application. And it is 900 Swedish crowns. The tuition fees are handled by the university, and each course and program has their fees mentioned on the program's website. And the tuition fee differs depending on which program you apply to. But let's say, for example, if you were to apply for Bachelor of Laws at Lund University, I know that the tuition fee lies around 600,000 Swedish crowns in total. Of course, you don't pay the whole amount directly, but there's a big difference between the application and tuition fee, as you can see. But we've provided questions and answers with case examples to help you find out whether you are obliged to pay the fee or not. So in general, individuals who are citizens of countries that are not part of the European Union or EEA or Switzerland, they are required to pay the application and tuition fees. But the exemptions are, for example, if you're a Swedish or an EEA citizen, and you can document your citizenship, for example, that you have Italian citizenship or you have a Swedish citizenship, you will be exempt from both the application fee and tuition fee. You would have to provide a copy of your valid passport or a national identity card, which clearly states your citizenship, or an official document which certifies your citizenship. If you're already living in Sweden and you've created an account based on your Swedish personal identification number, you don't have to submit anything because information will be transferred from the Swedish tax agency and or the migration agency, because we receive information from them regarding an applicant status in Sweden. Also for the ones that has a residence permit based on other grounds than studies, they're also exempt from the fees. But if you have an account based on your email address, you will have to submit the required documentation yourself if you have a Swedish citizenship or an EU/EEA citizenship. And if you need to pay the fee, students pay one application fee for each semester they submit an application for. And it doesn't matter how many courses or programs you apply for in that semester, you pay 900 Swedish crowns. And there are different ways of paying the fee. Credit card payment. During your application process, you will be prompted to a payment button, which will take you to the payment page. And you just follow the instructions on the card payment page to pay your application fee. Bank transfer instructions. If you don't have access to a credit card or a bank card, you can pay your application fee by transferring funds from the bank of your choice to the university admissions in Sweden. But this is not something that we recommend because it takes longer, it's more complicated, often more expensive. The banks will charge you with some fees and it's less secure. But of course, it's an option there as well. And the bank payment instructions is also available on the application fee page at the section payment via bank transfer. So make sure to read the information and follow the instructions. And the third option is for those that are already in Sweden, Swedish residents. It's called bankgiro instructions. So students with a bank account in Sweden can pay their application fee using the same method as when paying other bills. And of course, all the information needed is also mentioned on the application fee page once you log into your account. And of course, if you are abroad and you know someone who lives in Sweden who can help you pay the application fee, that is also possible as long as they have your reference number and your name stated in their payment, so we can connect it to your account. So if you know someone here that can help you out and you're abroad, feel free to use that method as well. So this was about application and tuition fee. Max, is there any questions regarding this you wish to take now, or shall I continue?
There's one question that's interesting. So someone is wondering if when I apply, I am required to pay tuition fees, and later I'm not required to pay the tuition fees, and the results of the admissions round were already published, can I still be considered a non-tuition fee student?
So if I understood it correctly, that this person confirms their fee exemption after they've been accepted.
I think that's the gist of it. Yeah.
Okay. So unfortunately, the application fee is not refundable. We don't refund any application fee once we've already assessed your application. But when it comes to tuition fee, you can always take it further with the university. And I assume that the amount that you've already paid, I don't think you can get it back. But of course, the rest of the amount you don't have to pay because you've proved your fee exemption, so you don't have to pay the rest. But what's already been paid and we've already assessed your application, that is not refundable.
Fantastic. And there's one other question on this subject. Someone is wondering, as an EU citizen, will I need to provide proof of sufficient financial resources before applying to the university in order to study in Sweden?
No, No, it's enough with a copy of your passport to prove your citizenship, and you will be exempt from both application and tuition fee.
Fantastic. I think we can move on.
Yeah. All right. All right. So a little bit more about programming courses, how many programs and courses you can apply to, and a little bit of explanation regarding the application ranking. So at bachelor's level, you are allowed to select up to 8 courses and programs. I know that Christer showed his application for master's program, and he can only select 4 master's programs. I don't know how many he managed to select, but it would only be possible to select 4. And the ranking is very, very important. The ranking of your selections. For bachelor's level, the order that you rank your choices is important, as you can only be offered a place in course or programs for a total of 45 credits. And a full-time bachelor's program is 30 credits per semester. And you will be made an offer first for the course and programs you've given the highest ranking to, where there is a place available and you meet the entry requirements. This means that you will be evaluated for your first choice, and then your second choice, and so on, up to 45 credits in total. Any choices you've ranked lower that make your total more than 45 credits will be deleted. And for masters, when the time comes to workplaces, you'll first be considered for the program you've ranked the highest. If you meet the entry requirements and there's a place available, you will be offered one. And all the programs you ranked lower than will be deleted. If you aren't offered a place in the first program on your list, your second choice will be evaluated, and so on. And you can be offered only one study place. And we recommend you have your programs ranked just as you like them before the application deadline. Because if you start changing your order after deadline, your application will turn into a late application. And then it will be up to the universities, depending on if there are any places available to proceed with the application or not. Handing it over to Christer.
Thank you. Let's get back to the dates and deadlines page to look at what happens after you've actually submitted your application. And let's keep looking at the autumn semester dates as we did before. The first important date, of course, is the application deadline, because, well, that is the application deadline. And it's also, as you can read here, the last day to rank your courses, as Pamela just said. If you haven't put the program that you want to attend the most of all your alternatives, your top choice should be at the top ranking in your application. So make sure that they are in the proper priority order at the application deadline. The next important date for many of you, of course, is the application fee deadline, which is the last day to submit the application fees. That's not the tuition fees; those come later. But we will not start handling your application actually until you have paid your application fee. So it's very important that you do that in time. If we find that we need more information from you, you will get an email to the email address that you have provided in your account. And most of the time, what we need is more documentation, of course. So there is also a deadline for supporting documentation. You must have provided all of it before the supporting documentation deadline in order for us to actually look at them as part of your application. And then the good part is the admissions result, which for the autumn semester next year is published March 27th. And the admissions results will only be published at university admissions. You will not get a paper copy of your admissions result. There will, however, be a PDF document which you can print and use if you need to provide someone with a paper copy. But from our side, you will only get an electronic admissions result, and it will be provided at the university admissions when you're logged on. And once you have been admitted, your university will contact you. In a few cases, they need more information from you, but most of the time, the contact you get from the university will be information on what you should do now once you're admitted, and what you should do in order to attend the program that you have been admitted to. Do we have any questions on that, Max?
We have one here that's a little bit related to both what you're talking about and what Pamela talked about previously. So someone is wondering, do we pay the application fee according to the number of applications, or is it always the same amount, no matter how many studies we've chosen?
So
it's always the same amount. You can apply for several programs in the same application, but you will only be admitted to, as Pamela said, 45 credits per semester. So you will only have to pay one admission fee, but you will only be admitted to one program.
So, for example, if they were to apply for autumn 2025, they would have to pay 900 Swedish crowns. And if they then would wish to apply for spring 2025, they would have to pay 900 Swedish crowns.
Yes.
So,
and another question that I think you answered, but it's worth maybe taking up one more time. So someone is wondering if they can modify their application, like selecting a different university, selecting a different order after paying the application fee.
Yes, absolutely. The deadline for switching the ranking and the priorities in your application is the application deadline. So if you have paid your application fee before the application deadline, you can keep on managing your ranking. But that opportunity is over at the application deadline.
Fantastic. I think we can leave the questions there for now.
Shall we proceed? Krista, were you done with your part, or do you have anything else you wish to?
No, I'm done.
No?
You go ahead.
What I would love to add is probably like one of our advices would be to, once you've made your application and you've paid the application fee or whatever is required for the process to begin, is to submit your documents as soon as possible. Because many students, they wait until the last day to submit documents, and there is no guarantee that we will manage to get back to the applicant if something is missing. So submit your documents as soon as possible so we can start reviewing them as soon as possible as well, and get back to you if anything is missing, so you can complete with the required documents and your application will proceed as normal. Because if we get back to you after deadline, it means that when you complete with the required documents and they're submitted after deadline, they won't be handled at that moment. And your application will eventually turn into a late application once we've reached your documents. So it's really important to do everything on time and as soon as possible. And we were going to talk a little bit about the first versus second admission round. I don't know if Eric is here to talk more about it. Otherwise, I'll just jump right into it. There are two admission rounds. The first one is that applies for international students. The dates and deadlines are earlier than the second admission round. And all of the courses and programs are taught in English. So the Swedish 3 requirement does not apply for students that apply for the first admission round. And also, International students would have time to apply for a residence permit if it's required. When it comes to accommodation and all the other necessary parts regarding moving to another country, basically. While the second admission round, it's called the national admission round. It is already for those that are in Sweden and that has already completed their studies. I know that we had a question about this earlier. I'm thinking of going right into that topic, depending on if you've completed your studies or not, or will you manage to apply for the second admission round, even though you haven't completed your studies. To be offered a place in a course or a program, applicant must meet the eligibility criteria, both general and specific. So a completed upper secondary education is a requirement in order to receive a merit rating to compete with, because applicants applying for bachelor's level would be competing with a merit rating. And the selection process for bachelor's level courses for the first round autumn semester takes place in April. So students who are in their last year of upper secondary school are unfortunately unable to submit a completed transcript. This means they cannot receive a merit rating and compete for places. So by the time the student has completed their studies, the majority of the admissions decisions have already been made. It is possible that they could be offered a place later in the admissions process if places are still available and they meet the eligibility criteria. However, we recommend that students wait and apply for the spring semester or the following autumn. And if you're applying for a master's level, remember that you would have to submit your academic qualifications. So if you are in your final or last year of studies and you don't yet have your documentation of your soon-to-be completed degree, you can be accepted by universities. So there's a difference between applying for bachelor's level and master's level. Universities may consider your application if you submit your transcript, to date, of course, plus submit documentation from your university certifying that you are an active student in your last year. It's called a statement of enrollment, and we have a form on our website which you can use in order to have it confirmed. And if you've been conditionally admitted with the help of certification from your university, you may be required to present your complete transcript or your official diploma once you register at your university at the start of the semester. But be sure to check with the university you'll be attending to find out what's required. Are there any further questions regarding the requirements, or if you can apply for a university and still haven't finished your studies?
So we've had two people who are finishing their bachelor programs either this fall or early 2025. So someone is wondering, I'm completing my bachelor program this November. Can I apply now while waiting for the transcript, or will I need to wait for the next application round?
No, that person could apply because they have until the 5th of January to submit their documents. And if they're in their final year of studies, they can submit a statement of enrollment confirming that they will eventually complete their studies before programs start.
Fantastic. I think we can move on, just looking at the clock.
I don't think we had anything else to mention because you already mentioned that we won't be talking about PhDs or scholarships. Please feel free to contact us through our contact form or support center if you have any further questions as well. Otherwise, I think we're ready to take questions from the audience.
Exactly. So there's quite a few questions already coming in, but please feel free to keep writing. We're going to try to pick the questions that are as general as possible, so they apply to the most people. Here's someone wondering, what is the minimum requirement CGPA for masters? And I think this is maybe similar to a merit rating.
Sorry, could you please repeat that?
The minimum requirement for a GPA. So what kind of grades does a person need?
It depends on what program you apply to and how the merit rating, or like if you have a look at previous statistics, you could tell what the minimum merit rating was then. So it's hard to tell. It depends on which program you apply to and how many applicants that apply for that program and what merit rating they have.
To be totally clear, there's not a minimum level as long as you have completed your bachelor's course. There's not or as long as you completed your secondary school, you graduated your upper secondary school for bachelor's and graduated your bachelor's properly for the master's level. There is no minimum level you must fulfill with your grades. You just need to have actually completed your studies.
Fantastic. We have someone else wondering, and this might apply to a few different people. The language of instruction in my high school and now in my university is English. I am a third-year bachelor's student. Do I have to get a proficiency exam to prove my knowledge of the language?
Which country are we talking about?
We're not sure,
No?
but that's
Okay.
a great segue into the country-specific requirements again.
Yes, because what gives eligibility in English 6 based on academic qualifications is that you have a bachelor's degree with English as your major, unless you have studied in one of the countries that gives you eligibility in English based on your academic degree. So there are certain requirements depending on, one, which country you've studied at, and two, what degree you have, what major your degree is in.
Fantastic. That person mentioned Macedonia, for example, but then they can, exactly.
Which
And North
oh,
Macedonian, yes.
of course, North Macedonia. There you
Yes.
So just to answer to that person, but it applies to everybody, when you're thinking about these questions, look for your country-specific requirements.
Exactly. Yes,
that's
correct.
the right way to go about it.
We've had a few questions about PhD programs, and just to reiterate, we're not talking about PhD studies here. When it comes to PhD positions, it's directly through the university's job postings. And there's a
Yes.
link actually in the description of this video to PhD studies, so you guys can look there. I have a question that I'm wondering about. I wonder, in your experience, what is the most common mistake you see when people are applying?
Shall I start, Christer?
Go ahead, do.
Mistakes. It would maybe be some, like, I would love to come with some advices. Is the ranking program selection, is that many don't think about the ranking of their selections, that it's really, really important. They just add their courses and programs and believe that they would eventually be admitted to as many as possible. No. So that is one thing. And key dates and deadlines. I know it's confusing with 2 admission rounds. It's not easy to keep up with the different dates, but that's really, really important to, first of all, have a look at when I need to pay the application fee, when is the application deadline, and then for the deadline for the supporting documentation. And then also application fee versus fee exemption, like whether you have to pay the fee or not. Remember that you need to submit your documents if you think that you are fee exempted and you don't have an account based on your Swedish personal identification number.
I would just like to reiterate the importance of the ranking in your application, because we know that for international students, it is confusing that you're applying to all of these universities in the same application, within the same application process. So you will not get an admissions result from each and every university you've applied to. You will only get one admissions result, and that is from university admissions. And if you are admitted to your top rank program, you will not get the chance to accept an admission at the programs you've ranked below it. So you will be admitted to your top ranked program, but you will not get an offer to attend the programs below it in your ranking order. So the ranking is super important.
And something else I remember just now was the requirements. Many people believe that they apply for bachelor's level and believe that their bachelor's degree is sufficient because of course they've completed upper secondary. Why should they not be eligible? Remember that the requirements are set for bachelor's level, that you need to submit your upper secondary, and then for master's levels as well. So there is nothing we can do in order to make you eligible based on your bachelor's degree when you apply for bachelor's level, because you would need to compete with your merit rating once you apply for bachelor's level. So that's why we need your upper secondary qualifications. So once again, really important to read the information on our website for what the requirements are. There are other ways to be eligible based on your academic degree, but the chances of being accepted, because there are different selection groups, of course. And let's say you would apply for bachelor's level, and it is based on selection groups based on your merit rating, which is based on your upper secondary qualifications. If you were to compete with your academic qualifications, the university might only take 3 or 4 students from that selection group compared to the other 150 students based on their merit rating. So that's why it's really important to follow the requirements and submit the required documents.
Fantastic. I think we have time for one last question. We've had a few people wondering about IB, or International Baccalaureate. And I wonder if there's any specific information about that.
There is, but our expert is no longer with us.
There is country instructions for IB and EB studies as well. Let's find them. There you are.
Sorry.
Here you are, IB and EB studies. So there are specific instructions and specific requirements for IB and EB diplomas as well. So read the page, and if you have questions, get back to us at the support center.
Fantastic. And that's maybe a good place to end off, actually. We can maybe look one more time at how people can find contact information for the support center.
At the bottom of the main menu. And of course, at the footer of every page. And furthermore, there are some hand-picked frequently asked questions at the main page, which leads you to the support center and the contact information. So there are several ways to find it, and most of them are standard web page placements. So I think you should be able to find them without problem.
Fantastic. We have just a few minutes left. So I'm thinking it's maybe a good time to wrap up. It's so nice to see so many questions. Again, if we didn't manage to get to your specific question, please feel free to contact the University Admissions Support Center. There are also quite a few links in the description of this video with information to studyinsweden.se, where you can find tons of information there. And yeah, I really want to thank Krista and Pamela and Erik, who unfortunately I think had some.
Thank you so much for having us. I know it's a lot of information out there. It can sometimes feel like you're in a jungle, I know. But as Max said, feel free to contact us, reach out to us, and we'll help you out as much as possible. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you for attending our info dump.
And good luck, everyone. Hope to see you in Sweden.
I'll do a last little shout out. December 12th, we'll be having another live stream for the Swedish Institute Scholarships. So you'll find the link in the description. Please feel free to go there and sign up. And again, we hope to see you in Sweden.
Yes.